Amy Thurman here with 100 Days, 100 Emotions. We're on day 11. Today is about confusion. So, I'm talking about confusion today. My guest today had something come up, and so it's just me again. So, I'm going to be talking about my experience with confusion and hopefully how it can help in our lives, what we can learn from it, and how it can help us. Remember, I have 100 days of these. We're only on day 11, so I have a lot more spaces to fill. If you would like to be one of my guests on this series, I would love to have you. I want everybody on here, all the people, every color, shape, size, everything. I don't want everyone to be just like me. I want to learn from other people too. So if you'd like to be involved, please let me know either as a comment or send me a message. I would love to have you. I have worked on my background. It looks like my hair is not disappearing as much. That's exciting, right? Look at that. You can actually see my hair. Now, there's a glare from my glasses, but you know what? We're working on one thing at a time. So I've got my hair fixed. It's not disappearing, so we're good to go, right? Oh, this welcome to my world, y'all. This is how it is in my world. All right, talking about confusion today. We don't really think about confusion as an emotion, but when you think about it, you feel it, right? Confusion is a feeling. Like when I feel confused, I almost feel it's in conjunction with frustration. Do y'all feel that? Um, let Drop me a comment if you are watching live or on the replay. Tell me if you're watching live or on the replay so that I know that you're catching this. But tell me, does confusion come in conjunction with other emotions in your world, in your life? Most of the time in my situation it comes with frustration. And I don't know if it's because I have a brain injury that prevents me from really understanding things a lot, and I struggle. If you have noticed, sometimes I struggle with my words. I have trouble finding the right word, or I will fumble over it to try to get it out of my mouth because my brain just it doesn't work like it did before the accident. But confusion to me is a state that I lived in for quite a while after the accident. If you're just tuning in, if you haven't caught any of these before, in 2014 I passed out and landed on my face on the hardwood floor, and the impact sheared my brainstem, caused a traumatic brain injury, and it actually broke my neck, but that went undetected for 6 months. So I continue to live with a broken neck. So I have a lot of health issues that came in conjunction with that, plus the fact that my neck is still injured. I can only hold it up for a few hours at a time. I have to rest a lot, and I have a lot of fatigue. I have to be really careful how I use my energy. But part of what happened after the accident was the traumatic brain injury, and that it's gotten better over time, obviously, because I'm able to do more than I was at first, but I still struggle with that. And so part of that involves confusion. Literally, I would have conversations with people, full on conversations, not just I'm doing something else and I'm saying, yeah, uh-huh. No, like a full conversation. I'm talking to them, we're discussing things, and then the person would come back to me and say something about that conversation, and I would totally not remember any of it at all. It was just completely gone. And they would say, "No, you said this." And I did not remember any of it at all. It's pretty scary. It's actually kind of frightening when that happens, because I was just like, "What else am I forgetting? Am I going to burn the house down?" It's really a frightening thing, and so that involved me a lot of confusion of how can this happen? Like, I had a full on conversation, and you're telling me that I said these things, but I don't recall any of that. And there's so many emotions that go into that, as you can imagine. Not only was it scary and frightening, but it was very sad. It makes me very sad to think about that my brain was so injured that it just completely didn't remember like chunks of time. It wasn't like amnesia. It's just like chunks of time just completely gone. And that still happens to me, not as extensive as it was, but I still, like, people will say to me things that we talked about, and I still will have to say, I don't remember that. I'm sorry. But what I want to share with you as far as confusion goes is, in my experience, it's there's uncertainty. There's you feel lost. Like, the way my brain is now, it's so interesting to me because before the injury, I could think, I could think pretty deeply, but I really got the simple things. Like the simple things made so much sense to me. I had to make things really simple and plan them out and really stay organized. And the deep things I was getting, but I really understood the simple things more. It's like the opposite now. Like, I really get deep, meaningful things, conversations and concepts and perspectives. And the simple things like the superficial things on the top really confuse me. Like if it's very simple, if it's laid out very simply, my brain just goes almost like it's too simple. I can't get it. It's too simple. And so I get confused. And so that's an issue that I have now. But I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. What I want to say is a lot of times, like in my world, with when I get confused, when I feel confusion, then the frustration comes, and usually it involves another person. Sometimes it's me getting frustrated or confused at myself because I don't remember something, but most of the time, like there's an instance that happened just today with a person who was telling me something because that person was confused to begin with, and so in turn, that made me confused because I couldn't figure out what the person was talking about. And so it was one of those times where I was like, shoot, what did I forget something? Did I say this in that way that made her think that's what? And I just couldn't put the pieces together. Turned out that person was confused. So then I was confused. So that happens too. So it kind of builds on each other. But what it can teach us, let me pull up the text here first, and then I will talk about what it can teach us, what we can learn from being confused. I have a couple of them today because I have kind of a lot to say about confusion. If it's just going to be me instead of having a guest, then I get to talk longer, right? Okay, today the text says confusion can make you feel like you're lost in a maze of uncertainty. Your thoughts might feel jumbled as if pieces of a puzzle aren't quite fitting together. That's exactly how I feel. Like their pieces are all jumbled around. I just can't fit them together. I can't make the picture in my mind because I feel like I'm missing something. There's something I'm missing. I can't put my finger on it. To me, that's what confusion is. I also have this that I want to share, that by embracing your confusion rather than avoiding it, you open the door to personal growth and problem solving. And this is what I want to talk about for just a second. In my life, being able to learn from confusion has been very helpful for me. What I have figured out is when I am confused, confusion has been a very humbling thing for me, as I've shared with you already. But in another way, it has been very humbling for me because it means that I don't know everything, right? We like to think we know it all, that we have it all figured out, but y'all, we don't. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to lean on each other and rely on each other for things. And so confusion, when I feel that and when I know that's what's happening, then I know, okay, I have to stay humble here and I have to ask someone else either for help or for clarity. Because we're meant to do life together, right? We are meant to do life in isolation. And so that's part of what I have learned from confusion. When I feel that, when I know that's happening, that's a cue to me to, okay, I need to ask someone for help or I need to ask someone for clarity. I need to admit that I don't know everything, right? I need to admit that I need help. And that's been so hard for me because I've always been such an independent person. Asking someone for help or asking someone for clarity is not an easy thing for me. And so that's what I have learned from dealing with the emotion or experiencing the emotion confusion. It's a natural part of life, y'all. That's one of the things I want. One of the reasons I'm doing this series is to help us understand emotions are a natural part of life. Feeling them is natural, feeling them is healthy. We need to be able to allow them to surface and feel them because they're there to teach us something. If we will allow them to teach us what they're there to teach us, then we can move on. We can move on to the next thing. But if we keep pushing it down and pushing it down, it's going to keep trying to come up and come up, and you're going to relive the same thing over and over again, like Groundhog Day, right? And so once we learn from what our emotions are trying to teach us, we can move to the next one and learn that lesson too. Okay, so let's see what I want to do next. Let me pull up the image. If you have joined me in the past, you know that I use an AI image generator and ask it to create an image for me that represents the feeling of, today is confusion. And so this is so interesting to me, what it always comes up with. It's so cool. So let me add this here. I'm going to full screen it if it will let me. Oh, good. It's going to let me today. It didn't let me yesterday. All right. Here's the image that it gave me for confusion, the feeling of confusion, which this picture confuses me, which I guess that's the point, right? But no, I mean, it confuses me because to me, it looks pretty symmetrical. Like there are edges, there are squares, there are rectangles, there are all kinds of different geometric shapes, at like in the top and in the middle. But once you get to the bottom, it's like just a swirl of stuff. The bottom middle and the top left are like just a swirl of things. And so I guess that makes sense to me why it would represent confusion, because there is symmetry, there are patterns, and then on the outskirts there's like this swirling stuff that doesn't fit in anywhere. And so to me that does represent confusion, and the fact that just looking at it confuses me, right? So let me know your interpretation of this image. If you see something different in it that would help us recognize the feeling of confusion, please share that with us in the comments, because I love to learn from each other people. I love learning. As a former educator, it's in my blood. I love to learn. So y'all can teach me stuff here. Okay, so there's that image. The question I want to leave us with today is, how do you manage confusion? Like, it happens to us all. I've already said that. It's something that happens to us all. And sometimes, just to being honest, y'all, I know I like to keep it real around here. When I get confused, when I feel confusion, sometimes it leads to frustration that gets overwhelming, and then it takes me into a place of anger. Then it leads to the next step and the next step and the next step. And so confusion, like with any emotion, you can use confusion for good, or you can use confusion for bad. And I'm not telling you, none of the emotions are good or bad. Remember, we talked about that already. They just are. Some of them we experience as positive, some of them we experience as negative, but none of them are good or bad. They just are. It's how we perceive them. It's how we choose to use them. It's how we choose to respond to them, and if we allow them to teach us something. And so how you manage confusion can be, on one end, it can take you way far away from where you want to be. Or like I said earlier, it can take you to a place where you realize, okay, I need to ask for help. I need to ask for clarity. And then you learn something from it. You're able to gather information about it. So it can be a trigger to let you know, I need help with something. Or it can be a trigger that sends you down into that angry hole, which all of us know where that is, right? Which is a place we don't like to be. None of us, we don't like to be in that place. So we get to choose. That's the point. I made a post earlier, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, about how we get to choose our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So often we think it's just happening to me. I don't know how to control it. But the fact is that nothing happens to you. We have to allow it. Our feelings, our thoughts, and emotions, we control those. Literally, you have to be aware enough to know what's happening and what you're feeling, and you can say no. I'm not going to allow that in. I'm going to switch that around. I'm going to change the way I perceive that and make it into something that's good instead of something that's negative. So, I feel like I'm preaching at you now. That's not what I'm here for, but I do want to get the point across. That's the whole purpose of this series, is to help us realize emotions can be good things if we feel them, if we allow them to be our teachers, and we are willing to learn from them. So I would love to know in the comments, tell me how you manage confusion, and share with me your insight about the image, the AI image that was generated that represents confusion. And I would love to hear your insights on that. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Y'all, thanks for hanging out with me all of these 100 days, 11 days so far. I appreciate you so much. If it has helped you, or you think it will help other people, please share it. If you know of someone who you think would be good to be as a guest on here, see, my words are fumbling. If you know someone who you think would be good to be a guest on here, please let me know. Have them reach out to me, or you reach out to me, connect us in some way, and I would love to feature them. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll be back with another emotion tomorrow. Bye.